Welcome to the final lesson of the course. We've capped prices, propped them up, and taxed them. Now we study the last tool of government intervention and the friendliest one for everybody in the market except the Treasury, the subsidy. A subsidy is the mirror image of a tax. A tax takes money on every sale. A subsidy gives money on every sale. Instead of charging the producer, the government pays the producer. We'll study a per unit subsidy. That's a fixed amount, call it, that the government pays the producer for each unit they sell. Sell one more unit, receive one more S. How do producers experience a subsidy? It's like a fall in their costs. Every unit is now as cheaper to bring to market because the government is chipping in on each one. And we know what lower costs do to supply. They shift the supply curve down and to the right by exactly the size of the subsidy. Producers are now willing to supply more at any given price. Here it is on the graph. The original supply is faded, and the new supply sits below and to the right of it, shifted down by the subsidy at every quantity. More is offered for sale. At the new equilibrium, the quantity is larger than before. We'll call it Q1. The subsidy expands the market, getting more of the good produced and bought. And the consumer price falls. Buyers now pay a lower price, PC, because producers, with the subsidy behind them, are willing to sell for less. Cheaper goods for consumers, which is often the whole point. But here's the twist, and it's the opposite of the tax. On top of the lower price the consumer pays, the producer also collects the subsidy S from the government. So the producer's total per unit, PP, is higher than what the consumer paid. That gives us the key relationship, and notice it's the tax relationship flipped. The producer price equals the consumer price plus the subsidy. PP equals PC plus S. The two prices split apart, but this time the producer ends up above the consumer. Let's see both prices on the graph. At the new quantity, the consumer price PC sits lower on the demand curve. Above it, on the original supply curve, sits the producer price PP. The gap between them is the subsidy, S. And this time, both sides of the market gain. Consumers pay less and buy more. Producers receive more per unit and sell a larger quantity. Everyone in the market is better off. So if both sides win, where's the catch? The money has to come from somewhere. The government, which means the taxpayers, foots the entire bill for the subsidy. How big is that bill? The government pays S on every single unit sold. So its total cost is the subsidy times the quantity, S times Q1. On the graph, that cost is a rectangle, just like the tax revenue rectangle, but now it's money flowing out. Its height is the subsidy, from PC up to PP, and its width is the quantity. That area is what the subsidy costs the public. Let's make it concrete with bread. Say bread sells for around 10 shekels, and the government pays producers 1 shekel on each loaf. Producers are happy to sell more cheaply because the subsidy makes up the difference for them. Why do governments subsidize at all? To make essential goods cheaper for consumers, while at the same time supporting the producers. It's a way to lower prices without forcing anyone to sell at a loss. Where do we see it? In the staples a government wants to keep affordable: milk, bread, and other basic foods. The subsidy keeps the shelf price low while keeping farmers and bakers in business. And you've actually met subsidies twice before in this chapter. They were one way to maintain a price ceiling by boosting supply, and one way to maintain a price floor by lowering producers' costs. Now you can see exactly how that mechanism works. Let's put the tax and the subsidy side by side. A tax shifts supply left, a subsidy shifts it right. A tax raises the consumer price, a subsidy lowers it. A tax cuts the quantity, a subsidy raises it. A tax earns the government revenue, a subsidy costs it money. They are perfect mirror images. A tax gives PC minus T equals PP, with the producer below the consumer. A subsidy gives PC plus S equals PP, with the producer above. One drives the two prices apart upward, the other downward. Let's state the mechanism in brief. A subsidy of S shifts supply to the right. The consumer price PC falls, and the quantity rises. The producer price is PC plus S, and the cost to the government is S times the quantity. Let's put real numbers on a subsidy, so you can find both prices and the cost. Here's the setup. The market starts in equilibrium at a price of 8 shekels and a quantity of 100. Then the government gives producers a subsidy of 2 shekels on every unit they sell. From the producer's side, that's a 2 shekel cut in cost per unit. So the supply curve shifts down to S-2. Each unit is now 2 shekels cheaper for them to bring to market. Solving for the new equilibrium, the consumer price falls to 7 shekels, and the quantity rises from 100 to 120. The subsidy has lowered the price and expanded the market. Now the producer price. The producer collects 7 shekels from the consumer and 2 more from the government. So the producer receives 7 plus 2, which is 9 shekels per unit. That's PP equals PC plus S. And the cost to the government is the subsidy times the quantity. 2 shekels times 120 units, which is 240 shekels. That's the money the public pays out. Notice how the benefit split. The consumer price fell by 1 shekel, from 8 to 7. The producer price rose by 1 shekel, from 8 to 9. So the 2 shekel subsidy was shared evenly between the two sides. And see how it perfectly mirrors the tax. The tax gave a consumer price of 9 and a producer price of 7. The subsidy gives a consumer price of 7 and a producer price of 9. The very same numbers, simply flipped around. Let's summarize. A per unit subsidy shifts supply to the right by the size of the subsidy. The consumer pays PC, while the producer receives PP, which is PC plus S. The quantity rises and both sides gain. And the cost, S times the quantity, falls on the government. The one line to remember: a subsidy lowers the consumer's price, raises the producer's price, and expands the quantity, all at the government's expense. With that, Chapter 12 is complete. A ceiling gives a shortage. A floor gives a surplus. A tax raises the price, cuts the quantity, and earns revenue. And a subsidy lowers the price, raises the quantity, and costs money. For tools, one framework. And notice the common thread. Every single intervention is analyzed with the same 2 curves, demand and supply. You just ask how the policy moves a curve, and then read off the new prices and the new quantity. That's the whole method. Step back and take it in. You've now finished the course. Production and costs, the supply curve, the labor market, demand, elasticity, equilibrium, and government intervention. Together, that's a complete introduction to microeconomics. And think about what you can now do. Take almost any market and almost any policy, and you can predict what happens to the price and to the quantity. That's a genuinely powerful skill, and it's yours. Here's the one line for this whole chapter, in fact for the whole course. Find the equilibrium first. Then move the curve that the policy moves, and read the result. Everything else is detail. Thank you for taking this course. It's been a real pleasure to build these foundations with you, lesson by lesson. Now go out and use them on the news, in the shops, and in the exam. And one last exam tip for subsidies. Draw the new, lower supply curve. Mark the consumer price PC down on the demand curve and the producer price PP above it. The subsidy is simply the gap between those 2 points. If this course helped you, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share it with someone who's studying economics. And to keep getting extra materials, join our members club, where you'll find the full quiz library, fully worked solutions, and more practice questions. Thank you so much for taking the course, and I'll see you next time.